Are we live? Are we live? Are we live? Are we live? Devils fall to the Boston Bruins. Final score 4-1. The Devils are 16, 12, and 1 on the season now. They are 4, 7, and 0 without Jack Hughes in the lineup. Things are not looking good for. One second, sorry, my mic is just having some issues. Things are not looking good for the New Jersey Devils right now. Um, but I can't talk about any of this until I know that we are live, and it looks like we are. So thank you everybody for tuning into us here on Speaking of the Devils. I'm your host Ryan Novozinsky, joining you from the press box right here in lovely downtown Boston, Massachusetts. I know this is kind of a weird little dark background here. That's the TD Garden press box for you. I promise you, I'm here. Look, boom, there's the arena. Looks really nice. Actually, a really nice arena. Um, Thank you to our sponsor at New Spine for sponsoring us here on Speaking of the Devils. With 7 locations, they are New Jersey's leading institute for minimally invasive spine surgery. Live your best life pain-free. Visit newspine.com. That's nu-spine.com today to find a location near you. So with that out of the way, let's kind of go through note by note and talk about this. I know the Devils played better today, but they still lose in a lopsided way, 4-1 to the Boston Bruins, a Bruins team that does not have David Pastrnak, a Bruins team that does not have Charlie McAvoy. They're dealing with their own injuries right now, as the Devils are. We all know that. But they got the better of you tonight. And that's inexcusable for them to do it against a lineup that's as depleted as that. And I know Swayman's great, and I think the Devils did play a little better than they have. These offensive woes are getting to be too much, getting to be far too much. One goal for the Devils in their last 9 periods of play. Sloppy. And it all started with that Fraser Mitten goal. Kastelik was able to pick off Nemitz in the corner there, and he was able to feed Mitten, who buried it on a one-timer. Dennis Cholowski was out there with Nemitz on the ice for that. Nemitz needed to play the wall better there. Just bad hockey all around. I thought it was very curious that Sheldon Keefe put Cholowski back in the lineup. In for Colton White. That's not to say that Colton White's any sort of superstar, but I think he gives you a lot more than Cholowski does. Cholowski might be one of the worst players in the league. And I know he's only in there, sure, because of the injuries, and that is what it is. But surely there's somebody better than that. Honestly, at this point, Seamus Casey, I think, is be a little better than that. But then Timo Meier was able to tie it up just a short bit later. Ugly goal against for the Bruins there. Zacha, old friend Pavel Zacha, was the only guy in front of the damn net there. But Meier potted it on a rebound that kind of hopped right towards him. He was completely unguarded. Meier now has 9 points and 6 goals in 12 games since Jack Hughes went down with injury. And he leads the Devils in goals now with 11 goals this season. Again, I thought that first period was actually pretty dominant for the Devils. They won the expected goals battle 1.12 to 0.29. It was just the breakdown, the Cholowski and Nemitz breakdown that ended up being the killer for them. We move on to another guy who's on fire goals-wise, Morgan Geekie. He has 23 goals, I believe, now on the season. That's ridiculous. In 30 games played. Bruins got their second goal on when they just had 6 shots on goal in the game, so 2 goals on 6 shots, unacceptable there from Allen. And there was a really bad turnover, really bad giveaway from Brendan Dillon there. I mean, that's just inexcusable. That's something you cannot let happen, especially in the D zone, especially in such a dangerous area like that. So there's a minus there for Brendan Dillon on that play. Terrible. Let's move on. And listen, the rest of the game was just more of the same. It was just careless giveaways. Offense, again, the offense I think generated some things, but it was just the Devils play the perimeter too much. They play outside too much. Go inside, try to bury goals that way. Not a great showing from that. Again, look, I think the Devils outplayed the Bruins tonight, and that you might say, what the heck, Ryan? They lost 4-1, so how is that even possible? I thought the Devils, started to look a little bit like themselves, today. But it just was not enough. It ended up not being enough. Tom Fitzgerald needs to make a move. Tom Fitzgerald needs to make some sort of move. It all came out during the game on Saturday Night Headlines from Elliot Friedman. We had he reported that The Devils have made at least a call on Quinn Hughes, so we can talk about that a little bit. Maybe that ends up being the trade that the Devils end up making. Oh, there's a bug right there that I had to swat out of the way. So that report, and we'll get to that because that's another, it's definitely a noteworthy thing to discuss. Freeman says the Devils have had at least one conversation with the Vancouver Canucks about acquiring the superstar defenseman. He stressed that he didn't believe anything seemed close. He did not believe anything was imminent there. And he said, I don't even know that they're anywhere far along, but I do believe that a conversation was had about where things stand and where they might be going. Obviously, things are a train wreck in Vancouver right now, and, things aren't that much better in Newark, but I do think Quinn Hughes makes things a lot better. I'm fully on the trade for Quinn Hughes, no matter what it takes, honestly, at this point, because I think even having him for a couple seasons at a good number would be awesome for the Devils roster-wise. Like, you can do so much, and you could, you give away some money too, because you're not going to be able to make it work by just like feeding them prospects or draft picks or anything like that. You're going to give away some money there. So you're going to give one of your bad contracts away. Does it end up being Dougie? I don't know. But, that's certainly one that you have to circle and say, Vancouver might ask for him, or Devils might just have to give him that. Freeman also noted that the Devils have checked in on Ryan O'Reilly, and he confirmed that Pierre LeBrun report yesterday that came out that said that the Devils are talking about Steven Stamkos, which I think would be a mistake. Do not go get Steven Stamkos. Ryan O'Reilly, absolutely. If you can get him at the right price, sure, go do that. That would help you up the middle in a huge way. In a huge way, I think it would, because he's somebody that I think could jump up to play, 3C. He'd primarily be a 3C, and I think it would, bump Cody Glass down, who I think would be better suited as a 4C. But he would just help things a lot. One correction that I have off the top, I said the Devils are 4-7-0 without Jack Hughes. They are 4-8-0. So my bad on that. But guys, let's just dive into the comments. We know why you're here. We know what you want to talk about. Let's go into your comments, and we start here with our man Zach Chin, who said he was at his local Target on Thursday and saw Markstrom in the checkout line with his wife. Awesome. Question of the day from Zach, who always gives us a great question of the day. Who's the coolest celebrity you've ever seen randomly in public, and where did you see them? I don't have many stories like this, and I don't even think this guy is cool. I think he's actually he's like a freak. Gary Busey I saw once he went to my college, so I saw him just walking around one day. It was pretty bizarre. It's like the most random person to run into. Just walking around campus. Tyler Seba says 3 weeks till Hughes updates. That's the only positive. Yeah, I mean, look, there's not many positive things that you can glean on from this Devils team right now. I asked Sheldon Keefe after the game how the mood of the room was, and he said that, the team generally seems pretty fine. But this was one of the main things that he was wondering as well. Like he said, to the point where he was having discussions with players. It made it sound like it was like private discussions with these players, trying to gauge the pulse of what the room is like right now. Because I can't imagine the mood is too high. I think after this game, the Devils recognized that, yes, they while they didn't win on the scoreboard, they thought that they outplayed the Bruins. I think that was kind of the general consensus of the vibe in the room tonight. But you got to start seeing these results on the scoreboard too. You can't just take these moral victories. We're going to move on. We're going to say I've run out of negative things to say about this team because it's the same thing every game. Not giving up on the season just yet, but holy hell, how far we've fallen in such little time. It is kind of amazing. Like, the 8-game winning streak did feel like it was just yesterday, and now things have spiraled off of a cliff. Where we're talking about we're basically planning the parade route at some point, over a couple weeks ago, and now it's things are looking very dire. The Devils need to do something. Again, as I mentioned before, there were a ton of rumors that came out during Saturday Night Headlines from Elliot Friedman on Sportsnet, linking the Devils to Quinn Hughes, linking the Devils to some Nashville Predators players in Ryan O'Reilly and Steven Stamkos. I think Ryan O'Reilly would be a better ad than Stamkos, and I think getting Quinn would fix a lot of things. But Tom Fitzgerald is working the phones. There's no doubt about that. But right now he needs to act because the pressure is on him. The pressure is on him. His seat's warming up. Let's just face it, guys. If you keep burying years of this core, that you have locked up to all these affordable deals, and everyone always lauds the Devils for that, for being able to lock up this core to your star players to such great deals. If you can't get it done, and you let another season wither away with, where you're flirting with not even making the playoffs in an East that's this weak this year, you shouldn't be the one to lead this team, and that's why your seats should heat up. So let's move on. Legend Killer says, in the words of Titans quarterback Cam Ward, we ask. Great quote from Cam Ward earlier this year. Yeah, I love that. I know some teammates of his didn't really like that, but yeah. Mikey Mike, wow, team is an embarrassment to the sport at this point. We'll be taking a few games off from watching after this one. I don't blame you there, Mikey Mike. The Devils are kind of unwatchable. I'm glad we kind of get like a 3-day Devil break here. I certainly need one. It's been unwatchable lately. Tonight's game was pretty boring because it was just like the Bruins play such like a left wing lock kind of trappy, not trappy necessarily, but like they're such a great defensive minded team that tonight was very boring. A low energy affair, pretty much. Rick Roma says, get Fitz out of here before he makes the panic trade. Keep the first round pick. This team sucks. It's getting to be a conversation at this point. As to whether you trade that pick. Yeah, seriously, because this team, look, if you can get a Quinn, sure. But if they ask for like Ryan O'Reilly for a first round pick, I don't know that I'm pulling the trigger there. I don't know that I'm pulling the trigger necessarily there. And I'm the same one that said the Devils should probably overpay for Ryan O'Reilly or do something in a trade and overpay. Why not at this point? But Rick Roma brings up an interesting point that the Devils might need that first round pick. Tommy G, Fitz needs to go. This has gone on far too long. I think his seat should be hot right now. I'm going to say it like that. I think that Fitzgerald's seat should be hot. The pressure should be on him. Again, I would love I would love for him to speak about the current state of the team. Things are dire right now. The Devils are clearly leaking things out through national circles and trying to flip the narrative that they're shopping right now, and that's good and well. But until you actually do the shopping, until you actually make something happen, then this is all just conjecture. This is all just talk. Make a move. Okay, simple as that. Or risk losing your fan base even more, because it sounds like right now fans are out on Fitz. Let's move on. Rick Roma, also we hitched our wagon to the undersized, injury-prone Jack Hughes of all the draft lotteries to win. We get Nico and Jack instead of real stars. Jack's a real star. Nico's very good too. Like Nico's a star too. I understand the pushback there is that you could have had Kel McCart. You absolutely could have. But I think there's no regrets about the Devils drafting Jack Hughes, no matter how many injuries he's suffered. Mikey Mike says, Fitz's seat should be absolutely scorching hot. I can't imagine this team wouldn't be a dream for an incoming GM. Sorry, I should have cracked my back. I had so many steps in Boston yesterday that I needed to crack my back. Haven't done that in a while. Look, this would be if this job came open, it would be the most attractive job. It would be by far the most attractive job out there. Because look, and you wonder, is Fitzgerald the guy to get it done? Do you trust him to make the next move? I don't know what the answer is there, but right now there are definitely questions about that I have about whether he should be the one to guide this team through the trade deadline and stuff like that. I'm just being honest with you guys. Do you try to go get Sonny Mehta from Florida? Is he the guy that you replace him with? I don't know, and obviously we're getting ahead of ourselves by even talking about replacement candidates because we don't even know if the guy's on the hot seat right now. But I think the pressure should be on him. Let's say it like that. Zach Chin, I have no doubt that we'll play better when Jack and Pesci come back. My fear is that it'll be too late by then. Still a lot of season to go, and the East and the Metro especially are very, very tight. But the Devils are out of the playoff picture right now, from what I understand. I didn't check the standings today, but I think they were yesterday. So obviously a loss doesn't help them in that regard. Things are getting dire, and right now this team needs Brett Pesci back in the worst way. Well, I'll try to get an update on him soon. But yeah, go get him back, because this is not great right now. Guys, can we get our first super chat? Can somebody send us a super chat? Do you guys know how to do that? You go in the comments and you press that little money symbol, and you guys can donate to the show. That would be really fun if you guys did that. And be sure to like and subscribe, because I got to tell people to do that more often. Steve KS. So what goes on in practice with this team? This is the product. Just embarrassing that 1 to 2 guys make or break them. The every team sees a bit of a decline whenever their star player goes down. There's no doubt about that. It's just the way the league works, right? It's just the way that sports work. The Devils should not be this bad without Jack Hughes. The Devils should not go from an 8-game winning streak to a bottom feeder in the standings without Jack Hughes, and that's what they right now. That's what they're playing like. So again, they're 4-8-0 without him. Things started a little bit optimistic at one point. They were 4-3-0 without him. It hasn't been good since then. As far as what goes on in practice, I do think the team actually does practice hard, but there's not that much. And honestly, there's not much time for practice time in general lately because of how tight the schedule is. The schedule crunch was actually a big topic of conversation up here in the press box tonight. So yeah, let's move on. We'll get some regulars, some people that don't usually get in the chat. I'm not gonna dump on my MSG guys. Let's see. Oh geez. Okay, what the heck? I just said that, and sorry. Stanley says Brad has one even strength goal through 29 games, and he's allergic to get into the net. Fitzgerald built a weak, timid roster that knows nothing but soft perimeter play, abysmal product. I think it was our guy Matt NJD on Twitter. He posted a nice little clip of just how brutal the Devils' perimeter play has looked of late, and it could explain why they're not generating that much offense and not scoring that many goals. You just look at there's 4 guys kind of hovering near the blue line. That's inexcusable, right? You got one guy down in the middle there, down in the slot. Not good. Sustained pressure. This team was supposed. I mean, look, I feel like there's been a lot of talk on Twitter lately about yearning for the days of the 2022-23 season. I don't blame them because those teams were offensively dominant. The Devils are playing a little bit conservative, right? Doesn't it feel like that? I feel like they were all gas and no breaks whenever 2022-23 happens, and now the Devils, they just seem to be playing too conservative. And by the way, they're really passive. I mean, there was a sequence tonight. Devils had a 4-on-2. Nemitz had a prime chance, and then he ends up just tossing it away instead, and it ends up being a giveaway that goes way down the other end of the ice. Shoot first, and get inside and try to shoot too. Let's move on. Oh, we have our first super chat. Thank you so much, Ghost Dog. Hypothetically, thank you so much for supporting our channel on that level, Ghost Dog. And I'll say this. If you guys want to get your comments in and answered, I will be sure to get that answer for you. Hypothetically, what are the mechanics of buying out Markstrom? If done in season, does that void the extension? Have seen talk of that online, so I am curious. I don't know the answer to that, Ghost Dog. I know that I talked to someone about this the other day. I just think it would create a lot of it would just be such a headache to get over. But obviously the Devils front office is equipped to deal with that. So why not? But I don't think it would void the extension. I don't know the exact answer. So I hate that. I really hate that I'm botching this answer on a super chat because you did support our channel on that level, and I very much appreciate that. But Ghost Dog, drop your Twitter in the comments, and I will tweet out that answer for you, or I'll get you an answer on the next stream because I'll talk to my cap guy about that. Hold on, I lost my place in the chat. Stanley says, but hey, at least Markstrom was re-signed in season until his 38th. I almost said 83rd. Feels like it sometimes. Priorities, right, Fitzy? Fire this bozo already, please. The Markstrom extension was not good, and that's part of the reason I want Fitzgerald to do a press conference so bad soon, because that's, I feel like, the one thing that you gotta get on him for. Let's pull up the nerd numbers, guys. I didn't even see those tonight. Oh my God, the Panthers and Blue Jackets game was crazy. It was 7-6, 6-7. We're gonna pull up the nerd numbers. Allen stopped 0.01. Minus 0.01 above expected tonight. Swayman, I'm sure, had a great game. 1.69 goals saved above expected for Jeremy Swayman, who has turned it around this season. Sorry. Rick Roma, it's a below-average team. We all know the winning streak was all smoke and mirrors. Fitz has to answer for this crap product. Fitzgerald definitely needs to answer for some of these things lately. Again, this is not for lack of trying. A lot of us reporters have put in requests for Fitzgerald, but it just has not happened. Whatever. Zach Chin, this might be unpopular, but at this point, I'd welcome a package for Quinn that includes Nemitz, Mercer, and maybe even Dawes if they throw in Sherwood. This team needs a massive shakeup. I was discussing this with one of the Bruins reporters in the press box tonight. What is the return? What's the most you would give up for Quinn Hughes? What's the most would you give up for Quinn Hughes? Would you give up Jesper Bratt? Would you? If you know that you can, get some retention even on the Quinn deal, which would be unbelievable if you can get him at that price. The answer probably would be no, but you consider it. Quinn is a superstar. Like I feel like people don't realize it's probably the second best defenseman in the league. So whenever people talk about getting Quinn, they're always like, oh, the team doesn't need him because he's an offensive-minded defenseman. First of all, he's an underrated defensive defenseman too. I would give up a hefty price for Quinn right now. I would just do it. I think that it's the right thing to do. I think that this team has proven that it falters whenever their superstars get out of the lineup. So, yeah, I'm like Zach here, where I would probably consider giving up even a hefty haul if it means getting Quinn Hughes, because it means getting another superstar in the mix, and a guy that would dominate the that would help get this team more analytically sound as well, because as I mentioned before, just doesn't seem like they're getting the kind of possession time that they used to have in years past, and dominating those kind of advanced metrics that we see so much. Stanley says a fundraiser for a Fire Fits billboard on the NJ Turnpike needs to be started. This is the same GM that held a press conference to pat himself on the back for the extension. Now nowhere to be found after the season has spiraled clown show. Again, yeah. I mean, look, I think that I would like to see a Fitzgerald press conference. I know a lot of fans. There's a lot of interest. I mean, the team is spiraling right now. You need to answer for this. I think that's something we talk about a lot. But come on, Tyler Seba. I don't know how others feel, but it annoys me how. It annoys me how when this team does score, there is zero emotion. They all look like they're at a funeral. So show some damn emotion. Yeah, I mean, I just think that's a testament to what the team is kind of like right now. The mood cannot be great. I mean, the Devils are on a skid again. I mentioned it. They're 4-8-0 in their last 12 games, and that's the stretch without Jack Hughes, and the product has been unwatchable. So. Yeah, I don't doubt that that's why the team is not exactly showing much emotion whenever they score. Kevin F said that owners don't pay attention to the Devils, so Fitz won't get fired. Metalander out shooting 2. Out shooting 2-1 and lose. Just wait for us to make defensive mistakes and pounce. That's been the strategy for these teams. That's been the strategy for a lot of these teams. And pounce they have. The Devils are at a massive skid right now. Thank God they banked some of those points early on, because they're going to need that to just stay afloat at this point. It's not even a question of what place they are in. It's can they even survive more of this stretch without Jack Hughes? Because Jack Hughes probably, we'll get an update on him in 3 weeks, but there's still a lot of hockey to play in that time, especially with this schedule crunch. You kidding me? Like it's things are not looking good. Ghost Dog, our friend Ghost Dog says, what do you think about Sonny Mehta as the next GM? That's the one that I mentioned too. I feel like he is so highly regarded in hockey circles. Obviously, he's the Florida Panthers assistant GM. I think he's a Jersey guy. He was with the Devils several years ago. I think he'd be a slam dunk hire. That's always the one that kind of gets thrown out about, and I've seen that a lot lately too on Twitter, just people talking about that as well. Peter Azarian says, I'm tired of this, Grandpa. Just pay the price and make a move. Stop hoarding draft picks and prospects who won't make an impact 5+ years. Your window is open. Yeah, and the argument there too, for your point, Peter, is that, again, the team is so lauded for having these great contracts and everything like that, yet when, they haven't gone past the second round during the prime years of Jack Hughes. Don't waste another year of this core's prime. Don't waste another year of this core's prime. push the chips in. I know I mentioned earlier that maybe they should consider keeping their first round pick just because the team's sliding a little bit. That's obviously a little tongue in cheek, but push the damn chips in. Lord knows you got enough of them. Sean Doherty says they've been blaming every loss on bad luck since 2012. Yeah, well, that 2012 was pretty bad. I think you just gave a lot of fans PTSD there, Sean. Meadowlander said, "What do you think about Brian Burke as the next GM?" He's old. He's 70. I don't know. I don't know that he's going to want to get back in the game. I know he's doing a lot of work for the PHWL as well. I don't know. I'm a Sonny Mehta guy if they do end up going in a different direction GM wise. I think that's like the popular name. Sonny Mehta, again, the Panthers assistant GM. And again, everybody that I've talked to around league circles about him, because he does come up from time to time just because the Jersey connection has nothing but nice things to say about him. Stanley says, Tommy Boy offloaded useful draft picks at last year's trade deadlines for players that he could have acquired for free. All you can do is laugh at this point. And this year, the going rate seems to be like all these first-round picks keep getting thrown in conversations. So that's a big concern to me is you can overpay, but don't overpay to a crazy degree, right? Unless you're getting a superstar like Quinn Hughes. That's all I'll say. Let's see. How hard is it to draft a guy like Morgan Geekie? How come we never do it unless we win the lottery? It's funny, too, because the Bruins, I feel like the Bruins always kind of get ripped for their drafting as well. I feel like a lot of teams get ripped for their drafting just because the NHL is kind of a crapshoot. Or no, but I guess he was drafted by the Kraken, by the Hurricanes. Wow, I honestly forgot about that. Yeah. Guys, we're actually going to wrap up the stream a little early tonight, only because I have to get back to my hotel, and I have a very long drive in the morning. Thank you so much for tuning in to us here on Speaking of the Devils. Thank you so much to our friend Ghost Dog, who gave us our first super chat. We really appreciate that. We'll be back at it. We'll be back at it Monday because we're going to do a little mailbag Monday. So come prepared with your best questions, and we'll do a whole lot of miscellaneous stuff. You can ask me anything about trade targets. You can ask me anything about Quinn Hughes. You can ask me anything about, I know one time I think we talked about Waffle House. So ask me anything, guys, and we will do that. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great day.